very scary. But the problem is, this is fish mouth, aortic stenosis. I mean, she had a bicuspid valve. Sorry, she had a bicuspid valve, which we picked up on it, and she was born with it, obviously. So it's a fish mouth. It's not round. So fortunately, fish mouth, you got to go in and replace the whole thing. You can't go from the femoral region up. So we had to crack her open. It wasn't totally invasive. It was as minimal as possible, but you couldn't go through the leg. You had to go in and actually replace the whole valve. Anyway, so typically when you see patients, if they have fatigue, tired, exhaustion, you always want to make sure that's not anything stenotic, right? Heads up, guys, right? Good. So learn dystrophy, learn metastatic, and you're good to go. I promise you. Yes? Yes. Now you guys are going to kill me, but it's okay because you guys have to catch me to kill me. Check this out. You might think this is crazy to do in 10 minutes or less, but not really, because I've done this before. This is in my Q bank as well. I take time doing my videos, and you guys can use it at your leisure if you have access to them. This is something that's very, very important. You should know how to categorize shocks. Now, I hope you understand, when I see tables like this in every organ system, as a student, I'd have a panic attack. I never really had a panic attack. I would get nervous and really get scared because they kind of intimidate me. Not only is it a table, but you have arrows up and down. So are you guys comfortable with shock? I mean, maybe not. It's okay. It's okay. I'm here to help you, right? So you might think, why do this now? Well, why not? I mean, these are points that you just need to know, right? So if I come here now, my first aid, I type in cardiogenic shock, right? I do this. I type in cardiogenic shock, blah, blah, blah. I find it for you. Hold on. Right here, right? I think here it is. How would you guys learn this? Well, that's the question I want you guys to answer yourselves, meaning rhetorically. What I would do is when I was a student, I would just memorize, right? I would just read, write. I would write down arrows, ups and downs. The problem is I would always mess up after a couple of days. I know it today and I'd mess up next week. Was it worth it? It's not worth it. I don't know about you, it's not worth it. I mean, I hope you know sweat equity is not worth it. You put all the work in today and next week you forget it. How about the other thousands of things you have to do every day? So I don't know about you, but I was pissed. I'm like, I'm putting all this work in. I'm writing out, I'm killing trees. I'm all this paper. We didn't have iPads back then. We had little tablets. I'm writing the stuff nonstop on paper. And then 2 weeks later, I forgot everything. I felt stupid. I'm like, what am I doing? Because there's a straight memory that you're going to forget, right? So I'm here to help you learn it the best I can and also get the questions right. So there are many different shocks. Low volume. When? How? Well, when there's a gunshot, stabbing, you're actively bleeding. Blood's coming out of your body, yeah? Also dehydration and burns, right? Cardiogenic. What does that mean? Something with the heart. The pump is not pumping, right? The pump is not pumping. There's a problem. Okay. Obstructive. That's the easiest. Think of obstructive as PE, like literally just massive P, meaning if the blood is pumping from the right side, from the body, legs coming up, and from the head down to the heart, and it goes into the lungs, out to the left side, and go out to the aorta. Remember this, there's an obstruction in the lungs. What do you mean? There's a big, massive clot. Think of obstructive as a big wall in the lungs. The blood gets pumped from the right side into the lungs, and it doesn't go to the left side. It just stops, meets the PE, and it goes retrogrades. So obstructive basically means the right side's high, left side's low. There's no blood pumping to the left side of the heart. They go, where's my blood? I'm sorry, there's a massive PE in the lungs and not happening. So that's the easiest. Distributive kind of is interesting. Heads up, if you're in the hospital doing a neuro rotation, don't say distributive ever because it's not one term. It has three different meanings. It has sepsis and early, anaphylaxis, and CNS injury, neurogenic, right? So if you want to be smart, you're like, hey, doctor, neurology, distributive has three. It's actually sepsis, early stage, anaphylaxis, if there's a bee sting and you can't breathe, and or obviously neurogenic. And they'll think that you're a rock star. I know you guys are rock stars, but in the clinic setting, you have to be attention to detail, right? So this is not easy to learn. It's very dry, very difficult. This is a little easier. I'll show you how to do it, right? That's what I do in my QBank library. All right, so before we begin this question, I need you guys to help me out. I need you guys to be active like you are, and I appreciate it, right? Do we know what these are? Cardiac output? Well, that's easy. It's the blood pumps out of the heart. Pulmonary capillary wedge pressure, PCWP. What does this indicate? What is this indicative of? Right? What is it? Systemic vascular resistance, what is that? And what is CVP? So, doctor, people coming in board, beautiful. They say PCWP is left atrial pressure. So if I give you PCWP, it's the same thing as left atrial pressure. That's it. Done. Very nice, right? You need to know these terms. Also, systemic vascular resistance, systemic vascular resistance. It's the afterload. Well, it's a systemic, right? The system, okay? CVP, the venous pressure, central venous pressure. Heads up, sometimes the terms themselves give it away. It's a preload. All right, so we have cardiac output, the blood pumping out of the heart, okay? We have PCWP, which is left atrial, okay? So we have left atrial. Then we have systemic vascular resistance. That's like total resistance, PTPR. It's the afterload. It's the amount of pressure the heart's pumping out against. And then CVP. CVP is the preload, right? So if you know the preload and afterload, like I've told you before, what goes up, what goes down, increase, decrease, murmur. Guys, CPR, heart, lungs, kidney, you'll destroy this exam because you'll have micro, biochem, immunocovered. You have cardiopulmonary renal. You'll do farm with me. You'll do any kind of tumors with me. That's how you get points overnight, right? Okay. So far, so good. Watch this now. A little trick that I usually do or to present to you. A, if you know what these are, that's what I do first. B, I read the scenario, and then after I read the scenario, I always go to whatever column I know I'm very familiar with. I don't go left to right. I don't go right to left. I'm like, yo, this is a do or die test. I have to survive. I go to where I'm familiar. If I'm familiar with cardiac output, I go there. If I have a question in loop diuretics in kidney and it has potassium, it has sodium, it has blah, 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 I go to where I need to go. Yes? Yes. All right.